So Simon, you've got an open house coming up,
I have, yeah.
and it's important that you know how to deal with these offers. So my best advice is prepare people about what you're expecting when they before they make an offer. So maybe on the viewing appointment, if someone's interested, at that point you can prepare them for the information you require. So I definitely ask them to fill out an offer form. So we've got some information called making an offer. Give them that information with an offer form and say to the buyer, look, if you're interested, we'll need the offer in writing, and here's the form I need you to fill in. On that form was obviously the amount. Oh, sorry. We'll just carry on. My phone's going. We'll just carry on. The amount of the offer.
Yeah.
More importantly, what date they can exchange contracts, and what solicitor they'll be using, and what mortgage advisor they'll be using, or bank or building society. Or if they've got cash, where is that cash? Is it in a bank or building society? Is it in an ISA? Is it an investment fund? Do they need to give notice? So we need all this information to be able to put forward the offer to the owner. So talk to them about what we need on the viewing. So when they do make an offer, they know what information you require. When they call and make an offer, again, you can email the making an offer form if they haven't had it or forgot it, and ask them to fill it in. But when you take the offer, they're going to be saying, this is the offer I'm going to make, this is the amount. One of the important questions you ask them is, how quickly can they exchange contracts? Because that will have a bearing on the owner's decision. And there's a big difference between someone who's in a chain that's going to take 2 or 3 months to exchange contracts, or someone who's going to do it in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. But also say to the buyer, the faster you can exchange contracts, the more likely the vendor is going to accept your offer. So it's important you can exchange contracts as quickly as possible. And they'll probably want some guidance from you, because they have no idea how long it takes to exchange contracts. They might think it's, they'll just say, well, as quick as the seller's solicitors can do it, or their solicitors can do it, or as quick as the lender can do it. But you need to be more specific. So look, it's far better if we can say you can exchange contracts in 28 days. Yeah. They may say, well, I don't know if my solicitor can do it that quick, which is then that gives you the option to say, well, actually, if your solicitor can't do it that quick, I've got a solicitor who can. Or the conveyancer that the vendor is using, it makes sense if you use the same conveyancing company, because it will make it a lot quicker, and that may appeal to the vendor. Yeah. And if they say that my mortgage broker might not be able to do it that quickly, then you can say, well, I've got a mortgage advisor who can do it that quick. Obviously, we need to make sure they're approved for their mortgage, or they've spoken to someone who can confirm they can get a mortgage. Obviously, it's far better if they use our mortgage advisor, because they'll be able to communicate what's happening with you. So I'd say to the buyer, it's really important you speak to our mortgage advisor, so they can confirm you can definitely get a mortgage. And they'll say, oh yeah, we can definitely get a mortgage. And just say, look, with all respect to you, Mr. Buyer, every buyer says that to us, but 20 or 30% of them find they can't get a mortgage. So, the first question the seller's going to ask me is, can they get a mortgage? Now, I can't answer that question be definite about it, because all I can say is, well, that's what they told me, they can get a mortgage. But Mr. Buyer, if I can say that our mortgage advisor has spoken to you and he's confirmed you can get a mortgage, it'll add a lot more credibility to this. When I talk to the seller and say, yeah, I can confirm you've spoken to our mortgage advisor and you confirmed you can definitely get a mortgage. And this is another important question when you're taking an offer. When they say to you, I can offer X amount of money, go back to them and say, look, the vendor's probably going to reject that offer. I'm going to put it forward and see what he says. But when he comes back and says no to that, what's the most you're prepared to go to? And often the buyer will go, oh, well, we'll probably go to this or go to that. So you suddenly know already that they'll go higher. And so it's important. Our job as an estate agent isn't just to be a messenger and pass a message on to the owner and order take and just say, well, this is what the offer is and what do you think? Our job is to be an expert in negotiation and to work hard on our seller's behalf to get them the best possible price and squeeze every last penny out of the buyer. I think some estate agents tend to forget that. They just sort of pass the offer on and say, what do you want to do to the vendor? And he says, I'll take it. And they say, oh, well, I'll accept it. And that's it. So you've got to work on the vendor's behalf and negotiate hard and to push the buyer up and let them know there's other interest, if there is other interest, and that the vendor wants more money. And rather than give a counter offer, and the problem with giving a counter is they'll then sort of give another counter, just say we want a higher offer, and hopefully they'll work their way up until you get the maximum out of the buyer, and the vendor is happy, and you've actually justified your fee because you've got a far higher offer on the table. But there's no point just having the highest offer. We've got to have a buyer that's going to exchange contracts quickly, and when you're coming back to accepting an offer, it's important that you say to the buyer, the vendor has accepted your offer on the basis that you can exchange by the 28th of this month or whatever the date is, but agree something that's in 4 weeks' time, and put some emphasis on the buyer of what you expect them to do. That when you take the offer, you can say to the buyer, if this offer is accepted, I will need you to fill in the mortgage application forms within 24 hours and pay your survey fee within 24 hours and pay your search fees and get your solicitor instructed in writing within 24 hours and exchange by this date. So they're ready and they know what's expected if that offer is accepted. Right. And when you accept the offer, go back to them. We want this done. Set some deadlines and some timelines so that they're clear and you can hold them accountable to that. One of the tips is also set up a WhatsApp group as well for the buyer, the buyer's solicitor, the buyer's mortgage advisor, and if they've sold a property, the buyer's estate agent, so you can communicate with everyone. And do the same with the seller, his solicitor, if he's buying another property, the estate agent he's buying from, and the lender or the mortgage advisor he's using. And then you can communicate with everyone a lot quicker. Right. So hopefully that's useful, because taking an offer is just an important part of this to make sure you get the maximum price and you get that sale through as quickly as possible. Right, let's move on.